Right.
And the second is yours, which is customer service is the new marketing.
Right, which actually we stole. Although
stole?
I can't remember who we stole it from.
Oh, good. All the best things are stolen.
It was from the internet somewhere.
Good stealing. What? I just wanted you to break it down for me. What do you mean by it?
Just that the environment in which companies have to interact with customers has fundamentally changed, largely thanks to the internet. And by that I just mean that customers are in control of the conversation now in a way that they weren't before, right? I mean, 20 years ago, if some company that you had to interact with did something to royally piss you off,
right,
there wasn't a whole lot you could do about it,
yeah,
right? These
absolutely.
days, you can put a blog post on the internet, it could get read by 3 million people, and that can significantly damage your company's brand and your company's success, right? So customers have control over the conversation in a way that they didn't before. So that can be frightening for companies, but it also is a huge opportunity for companies to reach out and to start thinking about how to engage with their customers. Because that same customer that can tell 3 million people how unhappy they are, they can also tell 3 million people how happy they are, right?
Yeah.
And that's a pretty inexpensive way to get 3 million people to like your product. And that's it happening on a huge scale, but it can happen on much smaller scales. And if you have a culture, the kind of company that does that over and over and over, you get those big hits, but you get small hits. You build loyal customers, you build satisfied customers, you build repeat customers, you build an army of evangelists.
Right. Well, one of the things that's funny, and maybe that defines the new part of it. I was thinking about how Nordstrom's in the 80s really built a reputation around customer service. I mean, part of the reason people went there for the transaction was because they knew what was going to happen after the transaction.
Right.
And so in some ways, when I read that, customer service is the new marketing, I think, well, the new part is the internet and this many-to-many distribution network now where that experience can get amplified by people, right?
Yep, I think that's totally accurate. It's not just Nordstrom's, right? I mean, it's the Four Seasons, but on the newer side of things, obviously Zappos is a company that's doing this all over the place, and even Craigslist as a company is the kind of company that thinks about itself as the embodiment of customer service. So I would agree with you that what's new is the internet, and what's also new is that a lot of companies, even those that aren't focused specifically on customer service, can get some of that magic, right? I mean, Nordstrom succeeded at doing that, or Zappos succeeds at being a customer service company by devoting so many of their resources to customer service. And not every company can do that, but the ones that can't can take advantage of some of the new technologies and the way that conversations are changing, the conversations that they're having with their customers are and can change to start to get some of that magic.
So like if I'm a coat hanger manufacturer in Sheboygan,
for example.
Yeah. So you can take advantage, even somebody in kind of a field that might not consider this to be there. I mean, where do you draw the line there?
That's true. I think it's really funny when we look at our site and the people who use it. We have all sorts of different kinds of companies that use Get Satisfaction, and some of them have crazy, like rabid followings, places you wouldn't expect. I mean, any company probably has 5 super crazy fanatical fans somewhere out there in the world. And before they couldn't do a whole lot about that, but now thanks to the internet, those 5 fans can and will find them.
You said this word that really is a big trigger for me, which is the culture inside of a company. I mean, what do you see as being the major challenges for companies to kind of get into a customer service model? Because generally speaking, in an organization, the lowest paid people are the people that are dealing in customer service historically, a lot of that.
Right, because the way we put it is historically customer service has actually been customer avoidance. Right? That's why all of the metrics associated with customer service are actually about avoiding customers and avoiding having conversations, right? It's, how many trouble tickets have you closed? We turned a person into a number and got rid of them. It's, how short is the time that we had that call? Exactly, transactional, not relationship based. Where were we? So what was the question?
I was just talking about how traditional companies culturally have to adopt kind of, how do they move to a culture of customer service?
The biggest challenge for companies that are going to take this up, if they want to be successful, is they have to learn to be much more open and much more transparent with their customers, both about the decisions that they make and the way that they make them, but also about when they screw up. And this is the thing that companies have the hardest time with, right? So if you're going to have a conversation with somebody, instead of having it be transactional, it is a give and take. It is a back and forth.
Absolutely.
And so it's amazing to me on our site, or on other sites, anywhere a company interacts with a customer, if a company really screws up, one of their customers yells at them online, they come out and say, hey, I'm sorry, what can we do to help you? Just apologize and reach out. The conversation transforms immediately, right? And that person goes from being their biggest detractor to being their biggest admirer.
Absolutely.
But most companies who are basically used to, holding a bullhorn up in front of their customers and shouting at them all the time, the idea that their customers might shout back is so frightening. And even though it has potentially huge advantages for them, just jumping over that wall, being okay with that level of openness and transparency and conversation is the thing I think most of them have a hard time with. That said, a lot of them also recognize these days, more and more every day, that they don't have a whole lot of choice, so they're getting better at it. And you're starting to see inside these companies, some of those folks at those lower levels actually recognize this and start to develop a skill set and a competency around this and bring that to these organizations. So you're also seeing a whole layer of workers who are starting to think this way and are bringing that to every organization they go to.
Right. Fantastic. I think that's